In this episode of Property Journal, I'm talking to Danny Gray. Danny is a trailblazing entrepreneur whose business inspiration comes from his own experiences with mental health. Danny founded War Paint for Men, appearing on Dragon's Den and successfully receiving offers from all 5 dragons. He's also the founder of JAAQ, JAAQ, which stands for Just Ask a Question, a social media mental health platform that's gaining huge momentum. Danny's openness about his own mental health is refreshingly authentic and infectious. I can't wait to talk to Danny. Danny, welcome. Tell me, who is Danny Gray?
Danny Gray, I'm nearly 38 next month. I'm a dad of 2 young boys, Roman and Rudy. I'm a businessman, so I've got a couple of businesses. But I suffer with a mental health condition called body dysmorphic disorder, or BDD, which is an illness about the way you're obsessed about the way you look, basically. But that has been a catalyst for me for starting my businesses. Yeah,
which makes them genuinely authentic. Tell me about your journey from a career point of view. What did a young Danny aspire to do? What did you want to do?
That's a good question. But do you know what? My dad was my hero. I think that happens a lot of the time, right? So my dad and my mum actually split up when I was about 6 years old. But look, great relationship with my dad. My dad was an entrepreneur, so like a small entrepreneur, had a car business, and I just loved watching him. And I just loved his way of life and being his own boss and stuff like that. So I always aspired to have my own business from as young as I can remember, really. I used to go up and watch him running his business and loved it. So I think that was always in me, right, to do my own thing and stuff like that. So I had at school I was a bit of a jack the lad, I would say. I liked school, but didn't enjoy it, if that makes sense. So I loved the social aspects, mates, sport, lessons. I was a bit, coursework I was a disaster at. But yeah, that was my life at school. And then I did have a corporate career for about 10 years, but always had this urge to start my own thing and try multiple things. But War Paint was the one that I really gave it 100%, which started me on this journey with.
Yeah, so tell me about that and tell me the reason why War Paint came about.
Yeah, so War Paint is a men's makeup brand, so a men's cosmetic brand. So the reason I founded that or started that brand is because I've been wearing makeup for the last 20 years. I've got it on today. The team didn't do it, I did it myself. But the reason I wear it is for my own confidence, right? It's not for anyone else. But the reason I do wear it is because when I was 12 years old, my ears used to be right angles to my head. They used to stick out a lot. And out of nowhere at school, as I said before, Jack the Lads, I'll say fairly popular, captain school football team, stuff like that. Just 3 lads started taking the mick out of my ears. They were singing the R. Kelly song, I Believe I Can Fly, which means I can't listen to R. Kelly now, which is a bonus. But it had a massive impact on me at 12 years old. Went home and did start looking at my ears, realised they stuck out. And then within 3 months, my mum got my ears pinned back on the NHS. So that shows to me at 12 years old, like how much it was affecting me. But however, with a lot of mental health conditions, it didn't fix the issue, right? So I got to about 15, 16, started getting spots, not necessarily acne, but that was a massive issue for me. Turned to my sister, she gave me a little bit of concealer. I couldn't believe what a product done. So I've been wearing makeup for the last 20 years. However, progressively my mental health did get worse and worse and worse, which always happens, right? 10 years is the average length of when someone first feels something with mental health to when they reach out. Is exactly what happened to me.
So you weren't talking to anyone about it, you weren't sharing how you were feeling already?
No, I wasn't. And I think, look, the average length for mental health generally if someone's suffering, so it's 10 years from when someone first feels something to when they actually reach out. So that actually happened to me. So look, from 16, it gradually got worse and worse, got to like 20 years old, 21, 22, going out, nightlife, mates. Look, it'd take me hours to get ready. It could take me three hours. I think my record was like 4 showers. So, getting ready, trying something on, going, having a shower. And it just progressively got worse and worse. So much so that even got to the point where I thought I was losing my hair, and this is what body dysmorphic disorder can do. You're obsessed about things that necessarily aren't there or other people can't notice. So for 2 years, I thought I was losing my hair, which I wasn't, and it just ruled my life, right? So
it's all in your head.
Absolutely in my head, and it just got to a point where I was going out a lot of drink, a lot of drugs, and eventually I reached out to my mother-in-law of all people at 4 o'clock in the morning. Sat on my own, drunk, and just reached out to her and just said, I can't take it anymore. Everyone knew I had something going on, right? Because when I was like that, my mates could see, people could see that, you know, it took me a long time to get ready, and it was just part of that. That's Danny. It just takes him a long time. But this is the thing with mental health for me as well. Even though the exterior might look bad, in here it's probably 10 times worse, you know. So eventually I reached out, and that was a catalyst for me to get better. But what I'd learned was to use tools to make me feel better, right? Or use certain things that made me help manage my mental health. And what I'm very passionate about is letting people do whatever you need to do to be the real you, right? Even if it's not traditionally, I don't want to say meant for you, but maybe people think you shouldn't be doing it, right? So makeup for me, I've been wearing for 20 years, and it has been a tool that I've used. It hasn't fixed it, but it's something I've used to help me manage it. So that's why I created a men's makeup brand, because I thought there's a lot of guys out there who necessarily wouldn't try makeup because of the stigma attached to it, right? And so that's what I wanted to do with war paint. So I launched that, I think, about 6 years ago, and thankfully it's got a lot of attention, and it's going very well.
Yeah. One of the things that I know you did is you went on Dragon's Den, and to know that you had BDD, to know that you know, that centre of attention, needing all that confidence, that must have been quite intimidating. I'd find that intimidating without even having BDD. So talk me through how that went.
Yeah, look, to be fair, they actually reached out to me to go on the show. And before that, I'll be honest, when I launched War Paint, I didn't really talk about my story a lot. I sort of hid it away. Like, I was still a bit ashamed of it, if I'm honest. And we had a lot of viral content and negativity in terms of press before I went on Dragon's Den. So then when I went on Dragon's Den, I made a conscious decision to tell my story. And look, for me, that was the first time. I always talk about, you've got your close friends, right? Your network around you. But I think a lot of people worried about the network outside of that, right? And they're the people that I was worried about what they thought. When I think about it now, it's ridiculous. You know, these people who you think are your mates, say hello to, and you care about their opinion. When
it is the fear of being judged, though, isn't it? It's the whole, you know, not letting your guard down and worrying what people think. And then, of course, you've gone through the journey of sharing that, and they were there to help you and support you.
Yeah, absolutely. And when I went on Dragon's Den, I made a conscious decision. I wanted to tell my story. So, I told my story on there, went extremely well, got all 5 dragons, and it actually went viral after. So it was on the press the next day, the best one in 14 years, which was incredible. But what I learned from there, which is sort of shaped everything for me in terms of business, is about how important the brand is rather than the product. I think a lot of people focus on the product, which is really important, but it's the mission of the brand. And as soon as I told my story, it changed everything, you know, and people related to it. I had a lot of people reaching out to me. So that's why now I'm very focused on the brand and what the missions are of both War Paint and JAAQ rather than the product.
Yeah. So you mentioned JAAQ, JAAQ, just ask a question. Social media mental health platform that you have literally pioneered and trailblazed, launched in November. And again, like War Paint, that's come from lived experience and you trying to then ultimately solve a problem and help people. Do tell us what JAAQ is, because it's amazing.
Yes, thanks. So JAAQ is a platform, it's a mental health platform where people go and ask questions to world-leading experts, celebrities, all different questions on mental health. And the reason I created that platform was because at War Paint I felt a bit of a fraud, right? And I talk about this quite a lot. So I talked about my mental health within War Paint and got a lot of fanfare for it. And people were saying to me, you're doing amazing things with mental health, but I felt a fraud because I think there's a lot of businesses, a lot of people out there talking about mental health and saying that you need to talk. You know, that's the end outcome. They'll talk about it and say, look, make sure you reach out and talk. And I think we've been talking about that message for 15 years. And people,
it's good to talk.
It's good to talk. People get it, and I'm a bit like, we need to move away from the message. So what I wanted to do was actually create something. So for me, the issue in society at the minute is that everything's based on crisis, right? So people will do that 10-year wait, get to crisis point, then they reach out, text line services, NHS. NHS is overwhelmed. But what are people doing before that? Where do you go to get the right information? At the minute, it's Google, right? And you can Google on there and there's no empathy, it's a lot of text. So what I wanted to create was a platform where people can come using this really cool technology where it feels like having a conversation where you don't need to talk to someone. Does that make sense?
100%.
So before that period...
Some people aren't brave enough, right? To talk to family, friends.
And they're not going to be. They're not going to be. As much as we say you need to talk, it's the right message, but I'll tell you now, people here... The other thing for me is people supporting people who are going through something with a mental health, is it a mental health disorder or struggling. You know, the support network, my mum, for example, I was a nightmare to be around when I was at my worst. You know, I used to come down ripping T-shirts off, when I was getting ready. And my mum at the beginning would say stuff like, but you look great, you always do. And in my head, I'm like, well, that's not helping me. But it's very difficult for me to tell my mum at that point. So
all she's trying to do is help and try and come what comes naturally to her to try and help, and it's the wrong thing.
Yeah,
in that context.
Yeah, exactly. And where are they going to go at the minute? Doctor, you're not going to go to your doctor to ask for advice. Again, you're going to resort probably to Google, social media, which for me can be very damaging, can be good. But what we want to create is a place people can come and get the right information. And we launched back in November. Look, we've had a load of attention, press, people wanting to get involved, which is incredible. So I think it's just the start.
Yeah. You mentioned to me when we first met that you sort of felt, like you say, a fraud and wanted to do more to help. But actually what happened on the back of War Paint and the exposure you got was a lot of people were coming to you because of how authentic and open you've been and humble about just sharing your own thoughts. Those people coming to you, that was the big inspiration for JAAQ, wasn't it? You had a kind of midnight moment where it all... So tell me about that.
Yeah. So I was getting loads of people reach out to me, which is quite cool, right? I was getting people for War Paint. I was getting guys reaching out and saying, look, I love the brand, I love what it's about, I love your mission. I'm not ready for makeup yet, but I just want to let you know. And when I reverse that, I think, how many fashion brands out there get people messaging them saying, I love the mission of the brand, but I don't like your clothes. It just doesn't happen, right? So that for me was amazing, but as I said before, I felt a bit of a fraud. And then it was one evening, I had a call, I was doing calls late at night with people, and there was just a couple, and the guy out of that couple had been suffering with BDD for 2 years and was really struggling. And they went to a local GP, or he did. He's in crisis, right? He's done that 10 years. And the lead time was 36 weeks to see a specialist. And the first 3 sessions with any specialist is just information giving. It's not diagnosis. So where did he go? He went on Google and he was finding it really difficult. So that was a Friday night. That evening I was on my sofa at 1:38 in the morning, came out with the concept of JAAQ. Literally, I bought the domain name at 1:38.
Love it.
And then I called Ash, who works for me, and just saying, thinking, what about this, using this technology? And that was it. That was 2 years ago. There's lots of stuff out there for mental health, right? There are all these text line services, loads of apps out there. So for me, it's not about, I want to replace those apps, I want to enhance it. But for me, what we've got to try and do is make a cool brand. And that's what's missing in mental health, right? And when I say about cool brand, it's normalising it, it's making it relevant, it's making it a bit edgy, something that people can look at and think, oh, actually, that looks like a cool brand.
100%.
I'm going to have a go. Where I think a lot of these platforms, apps are out there. People hear, I think, well, that's not for me. You know, stickmen and load of percentages and stuff like that. So I just don't think a lot of people will look at those platforms and think, I need to use them now, until they get to crisis. So what I wanted to create, if we create the coolest mental health brand on the planet, that people can come and feel empowered just to have a look, because it's cool, it's edgy, and then learn and then understand things, that's how we can change mental health.
You couldn't be better placed to have so much access from all these different experts that are talking about wellness and different ways of improving your mental health and your physical health. What do you do to actually keep your own mental health as good as it can be? And do you go to the gym? Do you do all sorts of different exercises? I'm just intrigued because you've got access to all of it.
Yeah, and do you know, I think it's finding stuff that works for you. So look, I don't go to the gym. I did, it isn't for me. But you know, I've got stick routines that I stick to, right? So I get up at the same time every day. I have cold showers. I like a routine.
Consistent cold showers.
Consistent.
Yeah.
Cold showers.
How long do you do a cold shower?
I have a hot shower and then I'll put it on freezing cold and I'll do 2 minutes.
Okay.
So I'll do the same routine. Literally, I count when it's on my head. I count on front of my chest, on my back.
Yeah, it's a long 2 minutes, right?
Yeah. But stuff like that, you know, I tried it once and like for 2-3 hours, I felt like Superman. Yes. You know, so that's it. Getting into the office the same day, setting out my tasks. You know, it's stuff like having routines around if I'm getting ready. Well, I used to try and get ready multiple times, and my anxiety would build. And once, you know, if I get changed once, I'm in trouble. Yeah. You know, so now I know if I'm thinking about my outfit, I'm getting changed again, I'll take a break for half an hour. I don't care if I'm going to be late somewhere. I let my team know.
So giving yourself time.
Yeah, absolutely. Time was a disaster for me, used to be. So, you know, I had to be somewhere at a certain time. If I was struggling to get ready, knowing, then that was an issue for me.
It was putting the pressure on you.
Yeah, and I think it's the work-life balance is massive for me. So the team know I'll get in, I'm always first here. But I'm not last to leave, right? And I get home, I've got my 2 young kids. I don't touch my phone. I don't touch my phone for work. So I get in at 5, between 5 and 6. I won't even look at my phone all evening for work.
I was going to ask you that because you're a trailblazing entrepreneur with different businesses that are growing. I mean, there's a new part of the JAAQ platform launching today. There's so much going on. How do you juggle family, work, and time for yourself as well? I mean, it sounds like that you've got that routine, but are there any times when it's out of kilter and out of balance? Because it's a struggle, right?
Yeah, and look, I always promote about that work-life balance and what's worked for me. Different things work for different people. Look, but when you start businesses, it sort of goes out the window, right? So when I started Warpaint, I had a full-time job, career. I did it on the side for about 9-10 months, and it was tough,
Sure.
But for me, that work-life balance of when I get home, when I say I don't touch my phone, mate, I'll put it on the side. I won't even look at my emails, won't look at WhatsApps, and I'll spend time with my kids till they go to bed, and then I'll just sit and watch rubbish telly.
Yeah.
And zone out. Weekends I won't do work now because it's just, for me, that is when I would probably burn out. So, and look, the other thing for me, I'm so passionate about what I do and enjoy it so much, it isn't work. Yeah. So, where people can get stressed, and which I'm very fortunate for, sometimes the weekend I can't wait. Sunday night I can't fall asleep because I'm so excited for Monday morning.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So
that shows the whole thing is mission led though, isn't it? And
Absolutely.
I know, just talking to you as we do about different things, that there are businesses out there led by an entrepreneur or a team of people that, in the nicest possible way, talk a lot about mission led, but it's not. Whereas for you, you're living and breathing it. It's just, it's so obvious. How do you feel about those companies that almost sort of do it as a tick box? They're doing it as an afterthought rather than it's just the why, it's the mission.
Yeah, look, I'm quite cynical about it, right? So 10 years ago, similar to Warpaint, people could start a brand based on a product or an ingredient and scream about it. But for me, that has no longevity, and I think people are becoming savvy to it. Look, ChatGPT, AI is going to find out a lot of brands. So what people used to be able to do, even 5 years ago, someone in their bedroom, drop ship, create a website over a week that looks really polished at the front end, drop ship a product, and they can make a lot of money. Because now anyone can create a website in 24 hours and drop ship. I think consumers are going to become savvy to businesses that aren't really mission led. And the other thing for me, if you flip reverse that startup, or if you flip reverse it the other way, so big conglomerates, that for me, I won't name names, but become a £1 billion business, and then they decide to create a foundation. The foundations do amazing work, but a lot of the time for me, that can be decisions around a board table where it's 0.1% of profits. We'll create this foundation and we can scream about it. The foundation do amazing work, but there's no actual sweat capital. It's a bit like people just whitewashing to say they're doing something, but are they really? Like the other thing, like sustainability, right? People say, oh, we're 100% sustainable, or what's the other one? So I've lost my...
so it's carbon.
We're carbon negative.
Yeah.
Which makes me laugh, right? And 4 or 5 years ago, that's what was a big thing about sustainability, carbon negative. And when I was raising capital for Warpaint, everyone was talking about that. I was like, well, that should be a given, right? You should be doing that anyway. Like planting trees in Africa. Like Warpaint, I could do it in 5 minutes. I can donate £1 to every order, plant trees in a country, and then I can screen that I'm carbon negative. So brands that are doing that,
it becomes a tick on the product, doesn't it?
You should be doing it anyway. Like I talked about it 5 years ago. Sustainability won't be a key metric, because any brand now, if you're not looking at sustainability when you launch, you're a dead brand. So I just think there is a lot of that going on, but that's why, like, B Corp certification businesses. Yeah. So B Corp who are looked at, and then they actually tick box to say, actually, you are making profit, but you are trying to change the world. You are mission led. Yeah. So that for me is the new charity angle, being a B certified organisation that is driven by purpose and change.
That's awesome. Not just a tick box exercise.
Absolutely.
We mentioned AI in that chat. A lot of people are worried about it. I think that's another amazing part of where JAAQ fits, in that we've got people lined up to come and talk about the fact that there's a lot of knowledge coming through with AI where it could replace things and where it simply can't. Is AI a threat to JAAQ in any context?
No, and look, this is why I think JAAQ can become that cool brand, right? Is because what we can do is educate, because AI, for me, a lot of people are terrified about it, and it is going to be affecting their mental health. If they're going to keep their job, is it going to take over the world? and not understanding it. So hopefully with JAAQ, what we do is, we approach those subjects where other sort of mental health brands probably wouldn't, and give information about AI, because the AI is going to change the world.
Yeah.
It's as simple
It
as it
already
is.
is, right?
And it is, yeah. So it's about equipping yourself with the right information to understand it, because a lot of anxiety and stress is the unknown a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Anxiety is about the unknown of what's going to happen. So
overthinking and worrying.
yeah, generally it's always in the future, that anxiety. So hopefully if we can create and give the right information, people can understand it. But look, AI is going to change a lot of things. But for me with JAAQ, we'll use AI to enhance people getting the right information. So AI can be incredible if it's used in the right way. Yeah. So it's just understanding that. And it can enhance your life. It can speed up your work. It can help you write emails. It can help a lot of things to free up space as well in your head. So AI is going to change everything.
Yeah.
But when I say change everything, I just think if you bury your head in the sand about it and not understand it, once you understand something, it becomes a lot easier to process.
Which actually goes back to the whole idea of JAAQ. Just ask a question, find out about it, use the resources that are available to educate yourself, and then you're not so scared, you're not so worried. Which I think someone talking about AI on JAAQ is only going to be a good thing to help people. What's your greatest strength?
I don't know really, just probably passion. Yeah. And when I say that, it's
you
just...
exude that.
Yeah, just my greatest strength is, I don't know, I'm just passionate about what I do. I'm just passionate. So I think if you're passionate about something, that's my greatest strength. I don't know, I'm really hard to say, I don't know what my greatest strength is.
Well, I'm going to agree with that. You're just bright-eyed and determined, and that is passion, isn't it? If you took the passion out.
And look, and people, you don't always have to be an entrepreneur or start a business to be passionate about something. Do you know what I mean? I think there's a lot of people out there in a job and probably earn a lot of money, but if you don't enjoy it, it can be very difficult and hard work. So just try and find something you're passionate about, and it becomes easy. People say to me all the time, like, how can you be so upbeat and always enthusiastic when you're at work, and it must be exhausting? I'm like, well, no, it's not, because I don't have to think about it.
It's you. It's genuine. Yeah. Passion. What's your greatest weakness?
Probably self-belief, which is, I might seem really confident and so I get a bit thinking about it. I don't know, but I think belief a lot of the time. Yeah. That's being honest. I know Warpaint's doing well, and I think JAAQ's got. I think JAAQ could change the world, but I don't think I can do it. Does that make sense a little bit? And that's probably my greatest weakness, where I just don't think it's gonna. It can't be me. It's never, people can say it could be this, it could be that. It will be that, and I'm like, I won't be lucky enough. So that's probably my biggest weakness that I do work on a lot. Yeah. I used to have a lot of self-doubt, so not as much anymore, but I still have it in the back of my mind. Yeah. I just don't think, sitting in the office now, we're in our studio, I've got a team of 15, we're growing, but still I don't believe it. Which I shouldn't really be saying I do believe it.
No,
but this
I get what you're saying.
Do you see what I'm saying?
But then your passion and your actions totally drive past. So you're fighting it all the time, right? Where's JAAQ going? What's the big vision for JAAQ? Because clearly it's there as a free resource for people to be able to use across the world. But if you could wave a magic wand in X years' time, what's the big picture for JAAQ?
Okay, now I'm sat in a pub when I'm 60, or a restaurant, wherever, and you get chatting to random people, and they're like, okay, so what do you do? And I'll turn around and say, look, well, I started a men's makeup brand called Warpaint, and then they've obviously heard about that. But then I went on to create a platform called JAAQ. But JAAQ's gone off to another level. I won't be involved when it's up here, right? But it's a platform that everyone's using to get the right information for mental health. It's a cool brand, and they turn around and go, you did JAAQ, like that for me.
And actually, to parallel that, everybody that I speak to about JAAQ that finds out about it takes the time to go on there. Every single person that comes back and says, that's amazing, it's brilliant, and why hasn't this been done before? So actually, it's more about people finding out about it. If someone's watching this now and is finding out about JAAQ for the first time, what can they do to influence the spread of JAAQ, to help JAAQ grow?
Do you know what it is with JAAQ? And I think a lot of the time with brands, right, it's difficult to get not traffic, but the reason to share a product or a brand is it's very rare that people share something. Have you seen this? I think that JAAQ has that ability because we cover so many topics. Everyone is touched by mental health and people they know. Yeah. Everyone in this room, everyone. Yeah. So I think it's a case of they go on it, they'll see topics that they could share and share it with other people. And that's if we make a cool brand, they won't be scared to share it with people that might be able to benefit. So just go on there, have a look and share it with people who might need it.
Yeah. I mean, similar to kind of the conversation we just had, but a lot of people are striving to achieve success. A lot of that comes down to being financially successful. Feels to me like your definition of success might be slightly different. How would you define success?
Success for me is probably the opposite to money. Success is your own person enjoying what you're doing in life. And that could, look, you could be only no money but love what you do. Success isn't about changing the world. Success isn't about making loads of money. Success isn't running your own business. Success isn't being the boss. Success is enjoying your life for me and being comfortable. And it doesn't, money can sway everything. Yeah. People think success. And I'll tell you what, actually, 15 years ago, I can remember I used to go down to the pub with my dad. I was young, and what used to happen, people used to walk in who'd earned a lot of money and they used to get respect, even if they were an arsehole, right? They would come in and be like, look, I see, he's successful, got his own business. That for me is out the window now. People walk in, you're in a room with loads of people come in who's absolutely minted, and however, people don't just give them instant respect because they've made a load of money. People give people respect because of what they've done in their life. What they do they work for, do they do stuff on this, do they run a kids football team? I don't know, I'm making it up. People have more respect now than what they did 15 years ago. It was all about, and that's what I personally believe. It used to be, he's made loads of money and successful, so he's got to have respect. That's out the window now.
Yeah, Danny, you're unbelievable. You're a massive inspiration. You've inspired me, this program. Keep doing what you're doing because you're an absolute force of nature. And thank you for talking to me today.
Legends. Thanks, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks very much.